Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Omega Files. I am your host, Dr. Freedom, and no, this is not Fantasy Island, and there is no plane to go to plane to. All right, we're here to have a little talk about Episode 3 of Series 10 of Doctor Who, Thin Ice. A very, very, very interesting episode, especially the way that they tackle race. That's one of the things I really admire just watching this episode right off the bat. Matter of fact, my ears are still burning going, how in the name of hell did they get away with that Jesus line? But let's get on to your guys' thing. What I'm going to do is, since we have a lot of people here, we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to go to you and automatically just go into your opening thoughts on Thin Ice. All right, so let's start at the top. Let's start with Philip Archer.
Hello, good evening. I really like this episode because I'm a big fan of Doctor Who when they do period pieces, and this one suited me down to the ground. Yet again, Capaldi has hit it out a ballpark with his Doctor persona, and Pearl Mackie as well. They had a good little fusion again, and I did particularly like that. Now we got Pearl with a different range of personality. She's now angry, and she stood up to the Doctor against certain things in the episode. So I like that from her. And you know what? As much as the villain of the piece was in it, he wasn't much of a show for me. It was like he was hardly ever there. But I did like watching how the kids were pickpocketing and stealing the sonic screwdriver and all that. And the idea of the serpent under the Thames, that's kind of nice. It kind of reminded me of Free Willy, to be honest, for some reason. And it's just beautiful. The sets, the way it was all put out, beautiful. And, you know, I can't recommend it more. And yes, Capaldi gives a nice little left hook or right hook, whichever you see it. And as Brian says, it's a good thing in looking at racism and how people use shit to make energy, really. There you go.
Behold the power of fish poop. Okay, next up, AJ.
Hi there, guys. AJ here. I thought the story was brilliant. Didn't seem like it was long and drawn out. To me, it felt like it was 15 minutes and it was over. It was just a brilliant story. It was fast-paced, action-packed. You got the issues of race, religion, and all the other good stuff that the Who and the world that we live in it should be about. I like the kids. They were pretty cool, very almost Dickensian of them, you know, being pickpockets and trying to make their living in their crappy little lives, whatever way they could. I like the trend that they're doing this season where the aliens or the monsters or whatever really aren't evil. They're just creatures doing what they do. I mean, the Sutcliffe human, he wasn't really an evil mastermind. He was just a guy who was taking advantage of his situation. So yet again, there's no real evil purpose. He wasn't out to take over the world. He was just to make a profit. So I like what they're doing this season with this whole no evil thing, just human nature or creatures doing what they do best. So it was a good story.
Okay, let's go to Elijah.
Well, I decided, because I know some people decide to watch on iTunes, I stayed back and watched on the iPlayer, and this one did not disappoint. The running theme of continuing on to the next story, I like where that's going. And it's interesting how the monster under the lake wasn't necessarily the main point to the story. But in the end, it's kind of cool how, yes, this is the last day before the Thames thaws. And the reason it thaws is because of the monster. I thought that was cool. I thought it was very sweet at the end how the children actually took up the mansion, which was, I thought that was awesome. And then also when Pearl is talking about race and the doctor's talking about how, oh, well, Jesus was black and you guys make him, or it's portrayed that he's white. And then also the fish poop, and then Pearl's like, no, and then the elephant noise. It was just hilarious, a fun tale.
Oh, I know, that was hilarious. No shit. Okay, William.
Hey now, everybody. This is an excellent story. Just for the communication of Bill and the doctor, especially when she's telling him we in this part of time and I'm not considered a person, I'm property. So that's how come the doctor and her had to change their clothes, which was pretty great. And yeah, the confrontation with the doctor with Sutcliffe was great that he knocked them out. But I don't know, I'm gonna have to a little disagree with AJ there. The Sutcliffe is not, you can say, the villain that he wanted to destroy the world, conquer the world. He was a villain to me because he had no respect for Bill because of her skin color, nor of anybody else around it because he considered them. So then he had no money. They were low lives. That's how come he was using all of them to gather up the fish poop to make the bricks, the everlasting fire like that. So, and he had no respect for nobody. So he got his just deserves in the episode. The children in this episode was great. Unlike other stories that didn't work out great. I mean, they were great. See them that how much the doctor needed the sonic screwdriver, and it was a little weird that instead of grabbing the kid's hand, that he grabbed the screwdriver to grab that back. I mean, I was shocked myself as Bill was that it almost felt like that he let the kid die. Because he wanted the Sonic back because he's not supposed to, that thing not supposed to be there in that part of time. So I was a little shocked, and of course the doctor had to explain about how many people he had seen died, and he had to mention he's over 2,000 years old. Every week those two are great together, and the way they talk to each other, it's some of the stuff that we haven't seen in such a few years because that you don't see that many companions was asking questions that we were asked, how things are done, how they perceive it, and of course explaining to the doctor how things are done on Earth since he's not from Earth like that. So of course, and we all still a little bit of anticipating next week because this episode ended with again hearing the knocks on the door. So we're looking forward to see who whether it's going to be next week or not, I don't know. But who is the one knocking on the door? I'm not in no great hurry to see who it is or what it is, if it's a man or woman or whatever. Let the season flow, and that answer will come in its due time. So like I said, this is one of the great episodes of Peter Capaldi I've seen in quite a while. So I give it high praise.
Very, very, very stirring episode. Yeah. All right, move on to Doctor Who commentator.
Well, I might have to disagree with almost everyone here. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it was a bad episode by any means. I absolutely loved the fact with Bill, like people said, asking the questions. I thought the chemistry, Bill is now suddenly really realizing where she is right now. She's really beginning to understand the Doctor has had to kill. She's witnessed people kill. And yes, I loved the ending. I loved that. The only thing that was kind of grimy for me was that haven't we seen this episode before? And kind of have in the form of the second season of Torchwood, because to me it just kind of looked like a remake of the episode Meat. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that is very familiar because I remember that episode Meat. Yeah, it did share some themes with it. Okay, moving on to Kellen.
What was it? Let's touch your computer. Yeah, the interplay between Capaldi and Marky is very good. It's really good rapport between them. Really love that. And Bell's starting to learn. And people die in the real world. People die. If you go on an adventure with the Doctor, that's where you're going to get. And I like the way it wasn't easy for her. And that is good. It's good we treat death lightly. That'll do for me.
Okay, let's move on to Beefhead. Let's go, Beef.
Yes, I get what Doctor Who commentator was saying. Yeah, you can draw parallels with Meat, and you could probably draw parallels to this with The Beast Below, because you have a creature that's being exploited So you have that, but this is a historical episode done correctly. It's Haley Neubauer, I believe, did the costumes for this. It looks as every episode of this season has done. It looks fantastic. One of the things I really liked about this was that how it seems to also be the idea of the teacher-student relationship is still running through this. That he's teaching her about the difficult choices that must be made. Sometimes people will die, but unless some people die, more people are going to die. So there is that great sort of lesson. She really takes him to task. She really acts her socks off. And there's a great sort of backwards and forwards tension between that, because you see how sort of like distant he is, because he has to be. He has to have that sort of professional detachment that was brought up in the previous season, I believe. So it was really good. Sarah Dollard has written a fantastic episode. I mean, last season a lot of people cheered because she managed to sort of kill Clara, and they liked it so much they got her back this year. The humour in this as well is brilliant. There's such a fantastic balance of humour. What I like about this episode particularly is the stuff about well, you remember Pete, don't you? And there's such a they're winding each other up. We haven't had a companion who's necessarily thought about A, I'm going to be discriminated because of my skin colour. B, the sort of idea of the butterfly effect if they kill someone in the past. So there was all that greatness to it. There were some real superb aspects to it. The humour was brilliant. Up until the point when he sort of knocks him out and everything like that, because she's got anger issues. I have to be diplomatic. It's excellently done all the way through. I mean, there are if there are science aspects to it. I suppose I should give you this aspect of the presentation, really, which is hang on, I'll show you. It's I have to sort of relocate to the beef laboratory. Which is where I've tried to give you a sort of a real world representation of the River Thames, and so we've got a creature sort of stuck underneath the River Thames with a big giant bubbly eye, and we're going to chuck a big load of ice on top of it here. We have our weighted Doctor and Companion. Don't worry, we do have multicoloured Legos. And we have Stompy the elephant, who sits on top of the ice. Now, the big question is does this work in the real world? Well, if I refer you to the beef board, you do. You have an elephant, people on the top, big scary monster at the bottom. The depth of the Thames at London Bridge is between 7.7 to 8.9 metres, which is slightly out of scale because it just doesn't seem to add up when you're looking at it on screen. But an elephant weighs 5.4 to 6 tonnes, and at 35 psi, ice at 15 inches thick can hold 10 tonnes. So ergo, it does work. So the science works out.
Okay. Well, I learned something.
That's definitely the best one yet, I think.
Okay, moving on to Frank.
Oh, hi guys, hi everyone. I can't top that, so I'm not even going to try. But this episode, I think it's going from strength to strength this season. And this episode is no exception to that. I thought it was brilliant, really, all round. I liked the part where Bill questions the Doctor over death, and it becomes quite challenges him to answer things. She's sort of getting to learn his personality more through that. So I think that was really fascinating. Also, the girl that was looking after the kids, the urchins,
it sort of had echoes to me of Nancy in The Empty Child, you know, where you got the young matriarch looking out for the kids. It kind of harked back to that. And I thought the underwater effects were fantastic. And I liked the line, I think it's been said already, but there was quite a few funny, light-hearted lines, but I like the one about, you know, with the guy talking to them about the fish poo thing. And it says it even burns underwater, and Bill goes, "Oh, shh," and then it cuts straight to another thing. And I thought that was really funny, you know. So all in all, yeah, costume design's brilliant. The sets were great, as usual. Period drama, the BBC does, you know, brilliantly, as always. And so I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great episode.
Okay, Jason.
I quite enjoyed the episode, building last week's. One thing, do not go alone in the thin ice or you'll be fish bait. But yeah, the episode itself was pretty interesting. Like the idea when it's coming up with the poop bite-in and what Bill said. Yeah, and with the whole situation, the fish around change, and then with from the doctor and Bill being captured by the glowing fish, and with them trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, this definitely worked out well, worked out a lot better than it was last week. With the whole idea with the kid grabbing the sonic screwdriver from the doctor, then the kid, being captured by the fish, and the doctor just ignoring the kid instead of grabbing the sonic screwdriver. Yeah, that was really shocking. I was like, well, I was not expecting that. But yeah, it was definitely great characters, and that witch guy is a total fucking prick. The guy just, I mean, definitely got what it came for him. But yeah, still wondering who's going to be knocking on the big door. Who knows? But yeah, that's pretty much all my opinion on that one.
Okay, Susan and Alex.
There you go.
Yeah, I didn't like the episode as much as I thought. I mean, again, it was great sets. Everything looked great. The repartee between Bill and the Doctor is great. It reminded me, again, Beast Below, maybe Mark of the Rani, Terra the Zygons. It sort of reminded me a little bit of that. I actually did get a little bored with all them running around, where usually I don't, actually. But the characters were good. I guess it's good to see the Doctor throw a punch once in a while, even though he's supposed to be nonviolent. And like Philip was saying, you know, she's not super happy in this story, but it has a good ending. And I thought it was kind of interesting how he may have performed a little forgery to help the kids out. And I don't know if that was planned or not, you know, when he asked the kid, "What's your name?" and all that. And then it did have shades of the Beast Below and the what was it? The Unquiet Dead, sort of the going back to the Dickensian times, and the Empty Child as well. So, I mean, not one of my favorites, but it's a good episode.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, I really like the bits between, you know, the Doctor and Sutcliffe. I thought that he was that the Doctor was a great foil for Sutcliffe, and Sutcliffe was a great foil for the Doctor. I thought that, like, you know, he had to find an angry an angry villain to go with him, and so I'm enjoying that a lot, and I enjoyed the bits about the beast. I thought that the rendering of the animal underwater was great, and I love the little pilot fish that would suck you down into the ice and form a little portal and suck you down in, and they'd go around in circles and form a little circle around you, and then you disappear. And so that was fun, and yeah, it was a cool episode. I really liked it.
Yeah, those little fish making ice holes out of themselves. Okay, moving on to Matt Rose.
Hello, hi. I loved Thin Ice. It was good to see the Victorian era back once again. You must tell he's an old pro at the amount of times he's visited there. Everyone's covered so many things tonight, but I just loved Capaldi's little speech, and the guy just didn't look impressed. He was like, you know, it won't melt my heart, but hey ho, you sad, sadistic person. It was great. And the elephant thing, the whole Frost Fair, loved it. I thought this has been one of the best of the run so far, and the characters are just getting there in their dynamics. I really did not like seeing Bill cry because I just could feel for her in that era. And just to face death for the first time, it wasn't very nice on there because, you know, she's never seen it before. As they mentioned, they've already seen death in the aftermath of the last story. And she's not used to it, so she's getting used to his lifestyle. When she asked him, had you killed anyone? And he was doing the whole round the houses, what a politician would do. No, I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And then when he actually told her, I think her face come to reality that this could be a dangerous life for her. But it's been good. It was really good to watch a different take on the Victorian era. And I liked that they actually went out the box and challenged the whole racial things of the times, which kept it realistic. And I thought Sarah Dollard just hollered the era brilliantly. And it worked very well. And sure, that bloke was the villain of the piece. But, you know, we've all got to make money. You know, that's why he probably done it. All in all. I think Sarah Dollard, you know, she's a great one. And if she comes out next year, I'd like to see what she'd do, because it was fantastic. And the whole cast is great. I even loved the ending. Naldo just started, like, this big ranting, raving speech, and then he got whimpery as soon as he walked off after that thing was banging and knocking. We'll see when that gets onto it later, but I think we're in for a great arc, and we still want to know what's behind that door. Who knows? It could be his exotic wardrobe of hats. You never know. That's knocking at him.
Either that or it's the bathroom and something in there that didn't get flushed. But on to Texas Tim.
Yeah, I like this episode very much. To me, it has the feel of a sort of classic series type episode. To me, the awesome relationship between the Doctor and his new companion is very much like, at least in this story, like season 14 with Tom Baker and Leela kind of thing, where he's the teacher. He's trying to teach her some things, and she gets all dressed up in some period garb but obviously she doesn't really fit in that kind of way. I do think it was amazing though. There's a big learning curve for Bill, because she starts to realize that, wait a minute now, you really don't care that that kid just got sucked down the ice, did you? You know, and she has to realize that, you know, she's finding out what about the Doctor, what we already know. We've been watching this show for 50 plus years. We know that that's how he has to be. She's new. So we're watching her learn these things. And I think that's pretty clever. I like that a lot. I think the chemistry between the actors and the characters is amazing as yet. So I think I liked too that it was a good sort of historical story. And I think you learn things from these, because I was not aware that the Thames was ever frozen like that, where you actually had people living and working on it a couple of 100 years ago. And you know, if that kind of thing happened today where it froze over, health and safety would just say, no, we're not doing that. So it was interesting. I mean, you learn something from these types of historical episodes, and I think that's cool. Otherwise, yeah, I thought it was a fun runaround. I get Philip's point about that the villain is barely there, and I think that may be a problem with the 50-minute format, 45-minute format, that the villain doesn't really get enough screen time. But what can you do? I think it was effective anyway, because you're thinking that the monster is the villain the whole time anyway, until that he gets introduced. So it works for me.
Yeah, what I liked about the episode was the fact that it focused on their relationship, but also it focused on how she sees the Doctor. You know, at first it seems like he's like this cold, hard, incompassionate guy. But as the episode progresses, he shows her just how kind he is at the same time. Plus, she's learning and all that, and you see a whole new range out of her. It was just brilliant between the two of them. They both showed a great range just in this 45 minutes. And that's what I really loved about it. Plus, you know, they did what great science fiction always does. They touched on modern day political issues, you know, and racial issues, but in a science fiction format. You know, where back then it was a lot, you know, really, really out there, racism and whatnot. And they touched on that. I said it was a great episode all around as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so who wants to take it off? Favorite moments? The floor is open. Who wants to go first?
Look, you said the Jesus minute. Sorry, AJ, but when he pointed out quite rightly that history's been whitewashed quite a bit. That and the fact that she was concerned, and I think Martha had the same concern when they went to visit Shakespeare, that one I could stick out a bit, like, you know. But I mean, but the truth is that, I mean, that they make a point of it, and the doctor is the one telling her, we have to be cool. You should just be kind of quiet. And when the guy walks in and says, what the fuck is that thing on my couch? He just punches him. He doesn't give him time to talk. So I mean, that was brilliant.
Okay, go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, I liked the beginning of the story where he gives directions to the wardrobe. It's almost the exact same directions that Eccleston gave to Billie Piper when she went to the wardrobe.
I was curious about that. Were those different directions then?
No, they were the same.
They were the same.
Oh, they were exactly the same.
Yeah.
Right.
I also liked in the story how it's been touched on, where Martha has previously said in the Shakespeare episode she was back in time. She can't be accepted. She steps on a butterfly. And Tennant's like, why would you step on a butterfly? Why would you do this? Why would you do that? I like that, how that was harkened back in this episode with Bill saying, you know, basically the same thing that everyone else probably would think too.
I like.
Sorry. No, go on.
No, I was going to say, I like how callous the doctor was when they were both tied up in that tent, and the man's taking away the sonic screwdriver, and he allows the man to be mauled by the fish people, and he says, throw it over, and he throws the sonic over, and the man dies. I think it's quite cold and callous of the doctor in that scene.
Oh, you remember he did hit the button, but it's not a speed button, so it was a little too late.
But you knew the man was never going to find where the button was anyway, and you knew the doctor was like, you know, just chuck it over here and I'll let you die. You know, that's what I
Wait, that's not what he tells that. Let me help you. Let me get the thing back. He wanted his screwdriver back. What the hell?
The one moment that I liked was when they were actually back from the adventure, back at the university, and Bill's researching all the stuff, and then the doctor tells her, no, you're the one who made the decision. I didn't. You did. And I like that. That was really cool.
Well, I thought that was an interesting point. It's kind of Kill the Mooney, isn't it, a little bit, whenever he did the same thing with Clara and she got very upset that she didn't want to make that decision. Bill does the same thing almost, but even he mentions it again towards the end of the episode. He's like, well, you're the boss. You told me what to do, and I did what you said. In other words, like, he's just an ambassador, and he has to have permission to do things, which I thought was pretty brave on their part, because you can watch, there's going to be some less like-minded people tomorrow on the board say, oh, my God, it's Bill who now? She's the boss. So
they shouldn't do that. But remember, they're just building up this season. But yeah, I also liked his speech to the villain about how it doesn't make a difference whether you're rich like that. It's what you do with how you treat other people. That right there. Bill picked up. You're over 2,000 years old. I don't know how long it took you to write that. And considering not so long ago, we heard him do another speech when we was watching the Zygon war thing that was going on, and his speech with them in Unidad. You know, he didn't want to see another war happening like that. He's seen so many of it. You know, he's been around for that long. But that really sticks out.
Okay, plus another throwback moment, and I'm shocked no one else saw this the same way as I did, was when they leave the TARDIS and then the console starts flashing up about the hostile light form. That threw me all the way back to the dead planet. Remember, until everybody suddenly goes out of the room, then the damn radiation meter starts going on.
I mentioned that on the call.
I didn't catch that.
Well, did you not? Don't you think there's kind of an effort, a conscious effort on their part to really be kind of throwbacky to the classic series at this point? Since they're on their way out, the whole team, they're kind of just saying, hey, you know what? You can't tell us no. This is it for us. So, I mean, we want to give the old school fans what they enjoy. I don't know if that's true or not, but you get my point, though. I agree with you on that. It's very reminiscent of that. I was just surprised how big the monster was on the Thames. So
I like how each episode so far is going into each other. I like that. It's kind of cool. You have kind of a connecting story, but then that doesn't leave much room for, you know, other tales in between, but we'll see.
No, but I think it was an effective choice to remove Nardole from the proceedings for a minute, just to get these two going back and forth without the third person there, you know, so that you get all of this character development for Bill out of the way, so they can move on from it, because you only got 12 episodes to play with.
But do you think Nardole's going to be that involved in the remaining episodes then?
Yes. Yeah, he's in quite a few of them after the next.
As far as we know, he's in every episode, and so far he has been, but just did a cameo in this one and the last one. So.
Yeah, but that was kind of what I was getting at. Do you think it's going to be more than a cameo? Is what I'm.
Yeah,
I think
and some of them, I don't think all of them, but some of them.
Further down the line, I think, probably about halfway through, maybe, or more.
Well, for sure,
yeah, given by the trailer to Knock Knock, I don't think he's going to be in Knock Knock, but fair enough. Yeah, I think it'll be.
Yeah.
I think some of the standout stuff for me was more of Capaldi's interaction with the kids, to be honest with you. When he's there reading them the story, they're absolutely rapt and everything like that. And the small little asides of humour and everything that he goes, where he goes like, laters and everything like that. Yeah, I'm down with the kids. Awesome. When one of them nicks the Sonic and he goes, respect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's so many little, just like very subtle gags on it. Yeah, when the end of it, by the time he's calling it the Loch Ness Monster or the Not So Little Mermaid, it just had me in fits, to be honest with you. As much as he can deliver a powerhouse of a speech as he did in that, he can just crack you up on a turn. He doesn't even have to do anything. It's just a look that he can do. He does this deadpan humour that really, really works well. The bit with him, you wonder how that. I watched it twice, and I'm still trying to work out the bit where he's managed to get all those pies either into his coat or into his jacket.
And his hat.
And also the jokes that make him look stupid. It's sort of like, you're asking me by the side of a docks if I've seen a guy with a tattoo of a ship. I mean, seriously. Yeah. They're not afraid to make fun of the Doctor, and I like that now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If you look at Capaldi's face, his face is just a picture, just about in every shot. He's just doing some facial expression, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah. Is there a telepathic conversation going on with Noddle and whatever's behind that vault? Because he seems to be talking accurate, as if he can hear what's being said.
I think he already knows what's in it. I think he already knows what's there.
Yeah, and if there was a telepathic link between them, this would mean that machines can communicate telepathically with people.
Well, we don't know if it's a machine yet, but we will find out.
No, I'm talking about Noddle.
Noddle. He's an android.
Oh, yeah.
He could be a cyborg. We're really not sure.
The head's organic, probably.
Because he even mentions the fact, I didn't ask to be brought back this way. He says that.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
It's his head, I think. Yeah, I think his head's human, but the rest of his body isn't, I think.
Yeah, hopefully it wasn't the jerks who did Ram's leg. Okay.
Yeah, no, I had some favorite moments as well. I noticed that respect, too. I was like, wait a minute. So I don't know if that's on purpose or not, sort of to have the companion reminded me of Clara a little bit, and Ace with the screaming and the way he's running around and trying to talk to everybody, the Doctor is. And even Bill the companion is as well. And that was another good scene, the speech that the Doctor gave to the villain, and when the Doctor was talking to Bill about, how many people and how long you've lived and all that. So, I mean, those were very good moments.
Well, yeah, one quick note before we forget, Matt, they're in the Regency period. That's 1814. Yeah. That's well before Victoria. You see, they don't want to be around Victoria anymore because she looks like Jenna Coleman now.
And it is historically accurate. This was the very last Frost Fair in London. It started on, I think, February the 1st and went through for 4 days. And they actually did, the elephant was not, the craziness of Stephen Moffat saying, God damn it, I want elephants. It wasn't. There actually was an elephant that they marched from, I think it was Blackfriars Bridge to London Bridge. So that is actually historically accurate.
I was going to ask you about that, since you are like the new science guy. Why is, I mean, I've never heard of this situation where the Thames was actually frozen enough where people actually did business upon it all day long.
Yeah.
That did happen.
Vanity Fair, the book. It's mentioned in that.
It's basically, if you want the historical aspect of it, there were 4 main frost fairs that ever happened over all the times that the river froze in London. You'll notice that there were no policemen in that, because the thing is, at that time there wasn't policemen in England. The police force wasn't invented, not even the peelers. They came in later in the century. But the thing with it is that because the Thames was basically, it was a trade route. You have ships taking stuff in and out. So when it froze, basically business stopped. So you had all these people who would lug the cargo off and everything like that. They had no money. So
that's what I mean. Did that? I'm sorry. Did that happen frequently a couple of hundred years ago? Because it hasn't happened in our lifetime.
No. There's reasons for it changing. I mean, it happened. The frost fairs happened because basically it was the people who would have made money off the river trying to get something back and make something out of it. If anything, it was the biggest drink up in London because there was so much gin there. When he said there, oh, it was daytime drinking, yeah, it was. They were completely off their tits the whole time. And literally it was. There was all the stuff, juggling, wrestling, competitions. There were cooking stuff.
So it was a carnival.
Yeah, you had pop-up pubs before you had the pop-up in becoming fashionable. What happened was later in the century, things got warmer generally. And what happened was when London Bridge was changed, they basically built a new London Bridge. You know, the one we sold to you Americans, that had less arches in it. It allowed the river to flow a lot faster, which meant because it was moving faster, it didn't actually freeze. So that's why, because there was a lot more flow of water.
So you're saying you're saying the freezing was actually a pseudo man-made disaster then? It
was conditioned with sort of the climatic thing of it actually being colder, and because if you've seen old pictures of London where you had London Bridge and you used to actually have buildings on it and stuff like that, so the water would have less gaps to move through. The flow of the water would be a lot slower, so there was more chance of it actually being able to freeze.
That's what I meant when I said, though, this is amazing, because you do learn something new every day. If they do a good historical I had no idea.
Historically, it's spot on. The depth of the Thames, they've taken a little bit of a liberty with. Don't get me wrong. But the thickness of the ice that you see in the episode, if you look at it, you can approximate it at about 12 to 15 inches. That will support up to 10 tons. I still like the way it cracked when people walked on it. Another thing I did like about the anglerfish, the sort of type of thing like that as well, that certain species of anglerfish have also got the nickname sea devils as well. They actually refer to her as a she as well, and most anglerfish are actually sort of female, and they can have sort of small parasitic sort of versions of them, the male versions that sit on them, that go around and get them food and everything like that. So the idea of having the big mama jama and the little fellas going around foraging for them is actually sort of scientifically true as well.
Sharks do that, don't they? They have the little fish that hang out with them.
Yeah, pilot fish.
So those weren't pilot fish, or they were pilot fish?
They did have some kind of symbiotic relationship with the main creature. Well, the funniest part is when they first pulled the little fish out, and they're showing you the little thing that comes up over that lights up. I suddenly was reminded of Eric the Viking. Remember the great dragon in the North Sea, which had the big bobble-headed like thing they thought was the sun? I was like, wait a minute, I've seen this before.
Can anyone actually explain to me? I don't know if it was actually explored. Was the giant fish thing, was that an alien, or was it actually something that came from Earth?
It looked like it came from Earth. I remember in the history books, or that probably still exists, it's fish that live deep under the water, and they have something on top of their head that lights up, and they use it as a lure to catch food. Yeah. So I seen fish like that, and they got teeth like that. So then maybe they exaggerated the size like that, but there is fish that does exist like that.
At the end of the day, there are. Sorry.
It could be the case of the Thames being polluted so much that it's got chemical stuff in there that the fish swallowed and made it into a mutant type of
and creates a Leviathan size
I think it's just a case of when it says alien or terrestrial, to be honest with you. It's that he's just alluding to the fact that there's so much that we can't know and everything like that.
Exactly. There are many creatures in the sea that we have never laid our eyes on, and we probably never will. I mean, so you don't know. I mean, what lives in so many depths below where we don't even go to. So, I mean, it's a big planet.
There you go.
Yeah, you see, there's a lot of species out there in the ocean we just don't know about because they didn't even know the megamouth shark existed until one swallowed an anchor on a Navy frigate in 1972.
The megalodon.
Yeah, so we're always still learning, new things. Matter of fact, they're finding larger and larger and larger squids that they had no idea existed. And they're, like everybody thought that, oh my God, that Kraken thing's a myth. Yeah, until we started pulling giant squids out of the North Atlantic.
And the jellyfish these days are getting so ginormous, and they're everywhere. I mean, like they're ubiquitous in the Pacific and in the Atlantic. It's pretty amazing.
But
also,
has there ever been a fish that can poop out some flammable poo?
Magnesium fire poop. Yeah. Oh man, and just think, they're literally shitting a brick. All right.
But wasn't the idea? Hold on, let me ask a question. Was not the idea that they needed the human element to produce that particular brick?
Yeah.
Which is why that guy was just perfectly happy to let all these poor people be dragged down and engulfed by that creature.
Yeah, because his family had been living off the proceeds of it for years and everything like that. So it's the entitled just exploiting the people and for their own betterment. That's the way I think you do. You get the speech of how a species is judged is about how it treats the people who are below it. It's the level of civilization, the respect, the care, and everything like that. And if he's found to be lacking, then I preferred it when I thought you were an alien because no one could really be that much of a dick.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why it was as cartoony and comic book as it was when he gets he
might as well have had a moustache and been twirling it. Yeah.
But it worked. It worked he's supposed to be the dirty evil capitalist, and he doesn't care about and that's fair enough. That's the story they decided to tell with him. And I thought that's why it was kind of funny the way he ended. But there you go.
Also, that was another theme that he brought up was how you treat other species defines your own species.
Yes.
And I thought that was very, very, dead on. It's, we're very exploitative guy, especially them hardcore capitalist nuts. Yep.
But why do you expect that? Why do you think that he decided to suddenly just make it Bill's decision? Am I going to do this? Or, he's like, I need your go to do. Because if not, he could have just unfrozen, right?
I think it's just what we've seen so far, that he's sort of training. It's this teacher-student relationship. He's teaching the companion about what it's like to be a companion, or in sort of a certain degree to sort of take over from him in a similar sort of way to Ace. I would say more of Clara, because it is a teacher-student relationship rather than the companion trying to outdo the Doctor to a certain degree.
No, but he had a reminder of that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Sorry?
You're the student.
Yeah. But what I would, he seems to be sort of he's trying to sort of put her in his shoes as well. So it's sort of trying to teach her how things are, what the status quo is, and sort of, I don't know, it just seems to be the sort of the teaching process. Even going back to the first episode, the essays he's giving her, then the smile, and it seems to be a learning curve for her all the way along as she go.
Well, that's the other thing that I'm wondering, because we know, being, big fans of the show or diehard fans, that a lot of people, even people that I've shown it to, have said, well, what is the Doctor taking over and just telling everybody what to do and, manipulating everybody? No. And I'm wondering if they were sort of doing a little bit of a shout out to that, but not have her be like Clara, where, she was very angry, at what happened and being kind of left on her own, where Bill seems sort of happy to do that, but not.
No,
you know.
Bill was very angry at what she perceived as his lack of empathy to a kid being dragged through the ice.
Well, okay, well, not I
It
wasn't referring to
like you
that
said,
part. But.
it's her learning curve, though. That's the thing. We know the doctor. We know how he is, and she doesn't. So that's the fun part of watching her, you know, find out. And she does get very pissed at him and say, "How dare you?" You know. And he's like, and then she runs away. She goes and hides, and he has to come find her, and she's sulking and whatnot. And he has to like say, "You know what? 2,000 years is a long time, and this is who I am."
Right. Right. So I'm wondering if they did, you know, if they had that in mind a little bit to sort of say, hey, you know, he has to take command, but on the other hand, he's, you know, still listening to the humans and the companions and his friends and all that.
Well, I think his thing is that it's her planet, so he needs, you know, her permission to proceed with what he's going to do. So
as much as he help, there's a certain amount that she has to do for herself. If you watch it, by the end of the episode, there's a big change in Bill. By the end of the episode, when they're trying to get everyone off the ice, and she turns around to the kids and go, "You run away, you go." But there are people still on the ice. Look, we've done all that we can, and she has to make that decision about who's going to live and who's going to die. So she actually learned that lesson by the time you get to the end of the episode.
Okay, how many people here, show of hands, back when he's telling her, you know, about moving on and all that, just after, you know, that child dies, how many here were reminded of the early performances of Tom Baker?
A little bit.
Because he really showed detachment, indifference, and he really seemed so alien in that moment, you know, like he's so disconnected.
But I think that's been a part of his character for a long time that people tend to forget when he's played by a young, cute guy. I mean, I think it's a thing that's always there, is it not? They just don't always bring it forward.
They're more willing to forgive a cutesy face than someone who sort of like plays a deeper character, I think.
That's what I mean, because you as a fan, you understand Bill's anger, but on the other hand, you know the doctor is who he is, and he can't stop and shed a tear for everybody that dies, or else he'd be busy all day long. He has to move on, like he said, and that's what he's always done. He's always done
more
that.
People die.
I love it. I'm over 2,000 years old, and the one thing I've never had time for is outrage.
There you go.
I love that.
This story is full of brilliant lines like that.
Well, it is a great line. Of course, there is a couple of stories one might argue with that, but that's okay. It still was a great line. It was a great scene.
Okay, anything else before we move on?
I was just going to say, he's seen so much, even like he still remembers the Time War and changing what he did and all that to save as many people as he could. That's the turning point, I think. After that, he's saying, you know what, I'm doing what I can now. Whoever dies will die. I'll mourn them in my own time, but I'm going to save whoever I can here and now, sort of thing. You know,
yeah, well, he even points out it's the TARDIS that decides to go there and take care of that problem. He even says she's, you know what, it's her fault because she knows that we could just leave. I think he actually tries to leave. It's implied, but they end up on the bridge overlooking. And it's like, okay, see, she wants us here to take care of a problem. In other words, he blames it on the TARDIS sometimes. But on the other hand, the TARDIS is part of him. So it's hard to say.
No, I'm sorry. The doctor, I'm sorry, I disagree with Tim. The doctor decided to park the TARDIS somewhere different. He was on the ice for a start. And because it was the last day of the Frost Fair, he decided to repark it on the bridge.
Okay, yeah, well, I'll agree with that. But I mean, my point was he did kind of blame it on her. He kind of says, you know what, it's the TARDIS.
He did try to go home in the first place. He was heading back to his office, and the TARDIS took him to the last Frost Fair.
Yeah.
I agree with you there.
That's my point. It's just like, in other words, and he said that before, and several different doctors have said that the TARDIS takes me where I need to be, not necessarily where I want to be. So he's there to do a job. So.
The last notable mention I also want to give is to the foreman at the brick factory. The scene between the two of them where there's sort of like two tones of conversation on where these bricks going. Oh, they're going to such and such. Oh, yeah, but that's you mean the steelworks? Well, that's the code word for the steelworks. It's such a brilliant sort of like conversation on two levels. And he goes, oh, I think you'll definitely be going places with regards to this job. You think so? Yeah, I think you'll be going there very soon. There's some
Yeah,
really,
you definitely won't be
Yeah.
working in this yard much longer.
yeah.
Yeah, that was very
Yeah,
good too.
I've got to give that guy props because I tell you what, if you can hold your own, in a comedy, standoff between the two of them, it's so excellently written to have two tones on that. Really is.
And it really was cute hearing a Scottishman say the Loch Ness Monster. That was adorable.
Okay, any other moments? Okay, I think we're pretty much done.
I mean, sorry.
go
Well, like
ahead.
I said, the what the doctor was writing on, was that a will? Was that a contract? I mean, that's what I was curious about.
That
think it
was
was
the
a will.
guy. That was the guy's will. He was adding the little kid's name on it.
Okay, let's go ahead and so we've gone on for about almost an hour. So let's go ahead and we're going to rate this sucker and put it to bed. Okay, we're going to start at the bottom, work our way up. Let's start with Matt Rose out of 10. How do you rate Thin Ice?
Ooh, we're skating on thin ice. We've landed with a perfect 10.
Okay, Elijah.
I could see they could have made it a little bit longer, but for the length it was really good. Enough to give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay, Texas Tim.
I've watched it one time, and I can tell that there's a whole lot of stuff there that probably went right over my head. So at this point, I'm going to start with a 10 and work my way backwards because I think it was very good, very effective. There's a whole lot of stuff there that you might only catch the second time you watch it. So if I tell you 9 tomorrow, that's just me watching it again. So, but at this point, I'm going to say it was that good. It's a very good episode. I'm going to give it a 10.
Okay, William.
It's a great episode. I give it a 9 out of 10. I look forward for the rest of the season, see how it ends up.
Okay, Susan and Alex.
Yeah, at first I would have given it a lot lower rating, but after hearing the group talk about it, maybe I should watch it again, and maybe I should give it a higher rating. I was thinking maybe a 7 or a 6, but after hearing the group, maybe I should give it a 9.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go along with that. It's a 9 out of 10. It's got a lot of really cool stuff going on in it. And it is nice to have a historical story again. And it is nice to have the Doctor and Bill cementing their friendship and their camaraderie in a really significant way. Awesome.
Okay, Beefhead.
I consulted with a lot of different ice professors running into this. Professors Vanilla, T, and Professor Cube. Much love for my homies. And I have to confess, it's a 9 out of 10. If I had to explain it scientifically, the pressure on the ice is force over acceleration, and the tension of the ice is the tension or strength of the ice is A, which is the type of ice it is, and then the thickness squared. And then obviously a Regency man plus poo plus fire equals energy. So pretty effing awesome party. So yeah, it's a 9 out of 10.
All right. Jason.
Great episode, great humor. Definitely loved Bill and the Doctor's conversations. Gets better each time, and yeah, I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10.
All right, Frank.
Yeah, great episode. Really, I really enjoyed it. All of it, every part of it. From the interplay, with all the characters, the kids, the exchanges between Bill and the Doctor again are getting stronger with each episode. She's questioning him more, putting him in a corner and getting him to explain himself a bit more. She's learning a lot, and I love the costumes were great. BBC do great costume design. The sets were great. The effects were good. All round, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Solid episode, I think. Yeah.
Callan?
Yeah, well, it's difficult. I'm drawn between an 8 and a 9. I'll go for an 8 this time. Otherwise, I'll have 3 9s on the trot. Oh, I'll give it a 9 anyway. It's been a very strong season for me.
Okay, Doctor Commentator.
Well, I'm pretty much in Alex's position. I mean, I was going to give it a 5, but after hearing the group, I'll probably give it around a 6 now, but I'm going to be watching again tomorrow anyway, so maybe my opinion will change.
All right, AJ?
Yeah, I watched this episode twice this morning. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's a really good story. It's quick, it's beautiful, and it's got very subtle layers in it. It's just pure magic.
All right, Philip?
I've watched this 4 times today, so you can tell I love it. Now, I want to give it a 10. I'm going to stick with a 10. And like I said, the interaction between Capaldi and Pearl is perfect for me. I wish they were like this a couple of seasons ago. This is brilliant. So yeah, it's a 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with most of the group here and give this one a 9. I really enjoyed the characters, the way they interacted. The acting was brilliant. The chemistry between Capaldi and Mackie was fantastic. And also the underlying political and racial themes were just very well played and very well done. So it deserves a solid 9. Okay. So next week, we're going to have a little, well, turns out Bill and her friends are moving into a very mysterious building. And their landlord looks a lot like Hercule Poirot. But, so join us next week as we sit down and give a review of Knock Knock. Okay, so until then, everybody, take care, eat your vegetables, stay regular, and eat a lot of fiber, too. Okay, good night.
Let's break the ice.
Bye.
He goes.
Oh, by the way, before PETA calls, that is a stuffed animal, right?
Yeah. It's like Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
No animals were harmed in the production of this podcast.
You wonder why I didn't use Lego Doctor Who? It's because I'm poor.
Night, everybody.